donate big numbers to Unrelenting. Hello and welcome. It's episode number 85 of Unrelenting, where last week Gene and I relented.
Yeah, so apparently when we did our show on OnlyFans instead of on the No Agenda stream, I didn't realize this, but did you know that OnlyFans is not just a podcast network?
It does more?
It has porn in it, dude. Did you know that?
No. When did that start?
Well, I found out when somebody commented, it's like, why aren't you taking your clothes off? I'm like, what do you mean? We're doing a podcast. What are you talking about?
You're like, I am taking my clothes off.
I mean, I'm not wearing clothes, obviously, so why would I take any off? But yes, that's why we don't have a video, because we're doing a podcast for the proud, the people that donated to us on OnlyFans and didn't do a public broadcast. But yeah, I didn't realize it was like a porn thing happening there.
There was so much going on last week. And I'm like, I got this, I got that. I'm like, you want to skip today?
Good show. It was a little shorter. I mean, we only did in like an hour 45, but still, I thought the content was good.
Well, because I'm like, do you want to skip? And you said yes. I'll go back to sleep. And then you called me and talked for an hour and a half. So I don't know what the point was.
I talked for an hour and a half. Okay, Kettle.
And then this morning, I tell you, I woke up and I'm like, what's that beeping? And I come into the office here and the battery in the main, there's two battery backup systems in here because there are, let's see, 2 computers, there are 4 monitors, a color laser printer, of course, the modem, the router, a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, yeah, the Raspberry Pi. You got to mention that.
That takes up so much. I know. It sucks it on down, baby.
Yeah.
And then it finally given up. So it was just in pure screeching mode. So I had to replace that this morning. And then right before we were starting, I went down to throw something in the basement and realized that the dehumidifier, for some reason, was leaking into the fucking carpet. So the brand new carpet, no. I know. So I pulled that and threw that into the other side where the washer and dryer and put a big air mover on there. And I'm hoping that it was just enough to get the carpet wet and that I'm not going to have to yank up the pad in that little 2 foot by 2 foot space underneath the.
Now, why do you not have a hose coming off the dehumidifier into your sump pump?
I do. And I have no idea why then this was leaking. I noticed the other day that the hose was not the system that it was using. The bucket it filled up.
Yeah, I think the term is the hose were, not the hose is.
The hose were. The hose is connected. But for whatever reason, the dehumidifier stopped using the hose. And I'm like, why is it filling up the bucket? And people are look online and it's like, well, the hose could be kinked or the hose could have something blocking it. Although
I'm pretty sure the hose were kinky, right?
Oh, yeah. But there was no liquid in it at all. When I disconnected, it wasn't like there was water.
To be fair, that's usually how it goes with the hose.
So it's just empty, gone, nothing.
Just no liquid at all. No.
And then I emptied out the bucket. So today, I don't know why it wasn't really filling into the bucket. It wasn't using the hose. It was just going directly under the machine. And then I moved it into the area where there is just a tile floor. And all of a sudden you just see water coming out of it when it's running. So I just unplugged that right before and turned the big fan on. And we will reevaluate that one at a later time
so
this
afternoon. So what you're saying is you got 99 problems, but hose are your main one.
Right. Hose are always the problem. The hose not doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what you got hose for.
Turns out. It doesn't always, the hose don't always do what you want the hose to do.
I have that song playing in my head as you're saying this, that you don't always get what you want.
Yeah, weirdos, like there may be a blockage, which I'm guessing that's true, but I took there's a water filter in the thing and I took that out and like cleaned that. It looked fine. Didn't look like anything in there. And so, I mean, otherwise, everything's great. I mean, if it would just turn off, that would be fun, but I don't know why.
Have you tried lemon juice?
You're right. I should pour some lemon juice in.
I would.
Because the last thing I want to do is have to try to pull up any portion of that carpet again. Because I don't have a kick. You know, I should always keep a kicker to reattach the carpet here, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody should have all these tools on hand. And the nice part it is the winter now finally rolling around, so the dehumidifier is not going to be an issue for a few months.
Yeah, gonna have to be running the humidifier instead.
I know. You put them in the same room, you let them fight them out. That was the old Stephen Wright bit. I bought a dehumidifier and a humidifier.
Stephen Wright, is he dead? Everybody we talk about lately seems to be dead.
I think he's alive still. Sorry, Stephen Wright.
Probably be. Yeah, sorry, Stephen Wright. You're gonna die tomorrow.
We'll be like, wow, that's horrible.
That's usually how it goes.
The comedians we talk about are either dead or soon to be dead.
It sure seems to work out that way.
Or their careers will be dead if they start getting accused of things, even by nobody who has a real name, even if it's all anonymous, even if it's not one person has reported it to the police. That case bothering you at all?
The whole rape thing is really starting to get old.
Yeah. Well,
I think we ought to start putting a moratorium on those.
And it's the boy who cried wolf thing again, because now people who will actually get raped will be like, why does nobody want to listen? Because, we've heard too much where people are lying about it.
They have completely discounted the meaning of the word rape. It went from a brutal physical assault that happened to be on somebody's genitalia.
Usually, right?
Right. That just so happens to be on genitalia. It could have been an assault to other body parts with fists just as easily. It went from that to, I don't like my boyfriend that I had 20 years ago, so fuck him. He raped me.
Right. It's all he said, she said, which is the most worrisome.
No, it's not even. He's not saying a goddamn thing. It's all she said.
He's saying, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
There's a disagreement here.
Hashtag women lie.
Uh-huh. Duke Lacrosse. There's been enough.
Duke Lacrosse.
Duke Lacrosse, baby. There's been enough of these cases where it has been proven the concept that you have to believe all accusers is totally
bullshit.
Yeah. Listen, fine. Listen and investigate. That's what it should be.
Just watched a documentary this morning about a woman who faked her own kidnapping for 15 days, got an ex-boyfriend to help her, and then beat herself up to come back with all kinds of bruises and stuff to justify
has
that
to
she
look
was
good.
Kidnapped.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what did she just go on vacation? Was like, I want to get away from everybody for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, basically just left her kids at daycare, just disappeared for a month, and stayed with an ex-boyfriend. Fucked like crazy.
People are nuts.
Well, half the people for sure. Yes.
And the concept that you have to believe everybody. If you believe everybody, your life is over. If you believe everything people tell you, your life is over.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that. And when somebody says somebody did something bad to them, you actually need proof, which would also then encourage people not to go into a one-on-one private situation behind closed doors with somebody that they do not trust.
Yeah, and in a different video I watched this morning, somebody else was talking about how the modern generation of school kids that already were fucked in the head by the fake COVID, they, on top of that, right now with the way that sex education is taught in school, basically you have to only do things with somebody immediately after getting permission for that act.
There has to be an app for that now.
There probably is an app for that, but it has gone from a Saturday Night Live skit of absurdity where people are, oh, can I, who did this? Somebody did this. I can't remember whose joke it was, but they did a whole bit on it. It was like, Larry David did in one of his shows. In fact, he was making fun of it, obviously, but he did it to where he's like, may I lean my head 6 inches closer to your, so that I can prepare for a potential, if allowed and granted, future kiss.
You and then ask inch by inch.
Right. Yeah, it literally, and that's what he was making fun of. But this is literally what is happening right now with that generation, to where I don't think it's going to be long before everybody of our generation is going to be accused of rape by people who weren't even born at the time that we were in our youth, because they're going to be watching old home movies recorded on VHS. Well, probably not even VHS today, probably DVDs, and going, "Oh my God, he just leaned over and kissed her without asking permission.
How dare you?
My family are a bunch of rapists."
Yeah. Well, this is also an interesting thing when you talk about the fact that they're afraid that the population is way too populous. They need to get those numbers down.
Well, they do and they don't. I mean, that's the big lie. Is everyone keeps talking in the upper echelons about needing to control population, but meanwhile, they're doing everything they can to bolster the population of the United States as a country, because they can't afford to have the population of the United States go down, because their wealth is directly tied into that.
True.
They need the slave labor.
But none of the kids seem to be even getting anywhere close to kissing, so I think babies are going to start slowing down.
Oh, that's already happened. I mean, we've already seen that right now. The percentage of male virgins under 30 is approaching 30. No, it's approaching 50%. It's like 46.5%.
And most of them
men under 30 are virgins.
Yeah, most of them play space games.
That's right. Thank God for space games. It gives them a healthy outlet. If they're not having sex with crazy women, at least they're playing video games.
Gene's online like, "Hey, dude, how old are you?" Guy's like 29. He's like, "You've never seen breasts, have you?" It's like, that's the reason. And you're like, "I'm over 50, so that's my reason."
Trust me, they've seen about 10,000 hours of breasts. They've seen more breasts than you have.
In person.
Well, they get worse in person then.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like, well, no, wait, they're not perfect now.
Uh-huh.
I have to go over to my Midjourney and it'll create them.
Exactly. The Midjourney will get you a much better set of breasts.
Yeah, they will never sag in Midjourney.
So are we talking? We're doing the bingo on the video game talk. Is that what we're doing now?
Well, we have to add that in just to
I
get
think
people up to
that's
speed.
one of the bingo cards. So,
well, that game is still like everywhere. So congratulations, Bethesda.
Yes, Bethesda. Congrats on the $1 billion that you made in about 2.5 weeks. That's a good job on that. Not a record, not a world record by any stretch, but still pretty damn good showing. Game is still doing pretty well.
How many hours a day are you doing it now?
I'm a couple, maybe, if that. Ooh. I mean, I'm about 350 hours in, I think, in the last 3 weeks.
Which 350 hours, and the game was what, $100?
Yeah,
that is great.
Super
return.
Cheap entertainment, right?
Yeah, that's a great return for your investment.
Well, cheaper than paying for Netflix.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, cheaper than YouTube, frankly.
Well, yeah, because YouTube just upped it to what, $15 a month?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I might be cutting off the YouTube.
No, you can't do that. And as our buddy
Rumble
Bandrew
is getting more and more stuff on there.
Well, that is accurate. But as Bandrew Scott pointed out, YouTube is now moving, and it was starting within the next couple of weeks, with any new video was not going to be able to have the creator turn off the unskippable ads anymore. Which means if you don't pay YouTube that $15, and this is a great way to try to encourage more people, even if you only do it for a month and then go back, you're going to have the hardcore YouTubers who can't stand the unskippable ads who might go, $15 ain't so bad.
Yeah, but you also, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's not a question of, well, I'll stop paying and still watch YouTube. If I stop paying, I'll do the same thing I did with Netflix. I haven't watched Netflix for 3 years.
I thought you were just going to go pirate the hell out of everything.
No, I don't. That would be defeating the purpose. As far as I'm concerned, Netflix does not exist, and any shows that are on there they don't exist for me. So I'm not worried about them. I've got a big enough catalog of shit people tell me I need to watch that I don't need to worry about anything produced by Netflix.
Yeah, that was the conversation I was just having with the wife about the Hollywood strike, which is they don't realize
there's a strike on. I know.
That. I'm like, there is so much content that's already out there. Nobody cares.
Better content, and there's content that's produced that right now, including on YouTube, but on other platforms as well, that is higher quality than what comes out of Hollywood.
The software is getting better and better. And my wife said, the new Kevin Smith is coming around every week now.
Oh, yeah?
I'm just saying that somebody that was able to
discovered.
Yeah. Well, Clerks back in the day.
Keep talking. I'm going to grab a drink here.
Oh, having a little bit of tea, getting wet in your whistle there. I understand. But the new filmmakers have the ability to create content with some of the cell phone cameras are getting there. And even if you get a little bit more high tech, the new, whatever they're calling them, I don't know if you're just calling them video cameras or whatever they are now, whatever the category is. But you can buy some very professional cameras for a $1,000 or $2,000 that will get you quality, movie quality from 10 years ago.
Dude, the new iPhone gets you movie quality.
Yeah.
Right now.
And these new things, and I have no idea. Adobe, if anybody out there knows anybody or if they work for Adobe, I want to know, why are they putting all of the audio editing goodies in Premiere, the video app, but not in Audition, the audio app?
I can tell you that.
Why? They're under the same banner.
Yeah, it's the use case scenarios. So what they're finding is the people that have always used Audition or not Audition, what the hell is it called?
Premiere is the video.
Yeah, Audition is the audio.
Audio, yes.
Yeah. So the people that use Audition are by far musicians.
They are, but it is very quickly moving towards audio programming. Podcasts are big, in case you haven't heard.
They're not.
Podcasts are big. Audio dramas are not big.
Not on Adobe. They're just dipping their toes into it with the new podcasting app. That'll give them a lot more stats as to how many people are using this stuff. But from what they're saying is most people that use that product are doing music. They're not doing spoken word, audiobooks, text, whatever, or podcasts. And so that's what the product caters to. It's got 1 billion different filters for doing guitars and all kinds of other musical instrument stuff, different reverbs and whatnot that you just don't need if you're doing spoken word.
Well, there's not even a lot of that. Now, in the Apple software,
but conversely, the people that are using Premiere a lot more are doing YouTube and Rumble and other video platforms. They're not people that are trying to make the next low budget film. And those people that are doing the YouTubes, they need all the same tools that podcasts do for audio. So I think that's why is that it's a split in the market, and their audio app is predominantly used by people that do music, and their video app is predominantly used by people that talk.
And their video app is now much more friendly for people that do podcasting than their audio app, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have we have been using Adobe Premiere to generate our transcripts because CSB wanted transcripts on everything.
Right.
And
well, you use that for this podcast. I'll tell you what's happening on the other end, which is funny. Or it's maybe ironic, I don't know, with Descript, which is what I've been using for years to generate a transcript. They're going the other direction to where it seems like for every one new audio feature they add 3 or 4 video features.
They want to be the video people.
Because again, this is what they're seeing in the market. Most people using Descript are not doing podcasts, which is what they originally were thinking and what they originally created the product for. Most people using Descript are actually doing video on YouTube and other platforms.
Now, Adam Curry will cringe if he hears this question, but do you think audio only is dying?
No, I don't think it's dying. I think there's always been a demand for audio only by people that want to be able to multitask. Whether it's listening to the radio in your car, or listening to a podcast in your car, it's like when you're driving, I hope to God, are not watching YouTube.
Yes, or Netflix or whatever.
Yeah, you can be listening to YouTube. Just, have the map on instead of the YouTube app on your phone.
And I kind of understood it with the transcripts because the case could be made that only in video do the transcripts matter, although that's not true now with the podcasting 2.0 space and the ability to do the transcripts. But they've also now in Premiere added the one-stop button, which is make text, whatever it's doing behind the scenes, it's a make text more intelligible button. So it tries to get rid of the background, which I have filters that'll do that. One of the ones from Goyo that I talked about the other day, that's great, removing background noise and reverb. So they're putting this all into Premiere, and now they've added the filler words, which to me, I'm like, well, are you actually cutting that part of the video out as well? Because that
they are.
That gets very interesting with the video because it's bad
jump
enough.
Cuts. Everybody's so used to jump cuts, they just don't care about having words cut out here and there.
Yeah, I hate it.
I know. I still notice it because back when we were younger, like that was a total no-no to do in video. Is you'd have to reshoot that segment if you screwed something up. These days, no one gives a shit. They just cut out the stuff that's a scrub.
Yeah, they cut out a word, and you notice the head jerks a half an inch to the right, a half, and it's just like, whoa. It makes you want your aneurysm start wanting to explode inside your brain.
There's a couple of products that let you do eyeball refocusing. I don't know if you've seen that. In fact, the script will do that now, so that you can be reading a script and looking at your monitor.
Oh, right.
And it will correct your eyeballs so that they look like you're looking directly into the camera.
Which is weird, but I understand why.
Because it means you no longer need a teleprompter. You could literally use your laptop to read shit and make it look as though you're just talking right into the audience, camera, which is what everybody likes. So that's built into the script now. It's free, in fact. There's other products that do the same thing.
Now, if they can do this well with the video, they're building all these AI features in.
Yeah.
If the AI... instead of doing a jump cut that is very obvious for you and I to see, if they can pull out the ahs and ums, and the AI fixes the face movement, anything that happened in between, that would be genius.
I think it's just a matter of time. It's not can they? It's a matter of, are they working on it already, or will they work on it next year?
And I just think, it's like if you're going to be working on the technology to take out the ahs and ums and repetitive words, filler words from audio, the place to do that would have been the audio program first, but no.
No, because their market is much bigger on the video side than the audio side. Believe it or not.
Yeah, but they could do
more
both.
People are making video than they are making audio. And if you want to do both, then you do it in the video platform.
Then you jump it back to audio. That's just a pain in the ass.
Or you just don't worry about it because only musicians use the audio suite.
Right. Nobody uses that at all.
Well, musicians do. Just not people that only want audio for spoken word.
The technology, though, is so much better.
Nobody else pays for that goddamn product to do podcasts. It's literally just you.
It's just me. That's good. It's cheap. I'm a student or teacher. I'm one of those.
A student or a teacher of life.
And I noticed they are upgrading all their price. Well, upgrading, they are upping all their prices.
I can't believe they don't make you verify like a college email or something at least.
They do with my friend who is a teacher. And she doesn't care. She doesn't want to use Adobe. She doesn't care. So it's under her email address.
I see. So technically, it's her Adobe that you're pirating.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not pirating it. It's paid for.
You're paying her for it. That makes both of you guilty.
She's just letting me use it when she's not, which is never.
Which is, yes, exactly. But you're paying money for her to do that.
And they are upping the price for everybody but students and teachers with all of their new AI stuff. People are going to love that. And they're doing a credit system. So this is something that's also fairly unique now. With the way Adobe is doing things, this AI, whatever they're calling it, it's irrelevant now. They have what's Firefly, I think, is what they call the self-standing thing, which is now built into Photoshop. It's not in beta anymore, and since it's not in beta anymore, they've decided, whoa, this AI stuff, it's like using our resources because it goes to the mothership.
Yeah, man. It's like, it costs us money and stuff,
So now you're only going to get X amount of uses per month.
Yeah. See, this is the next evolution of the monthly subscribership. It's like, well, you used to be able to just pay somebody a flat fee for their software forever.
Yeah, and you'd buy it and you would take it home.
That's not enough money. We need money perpetually. Hey, how about you just pay us a small monthly subscription that costs more per year than what the product used to cost?
Yeah.
And then now they've but we don't make enough money doing that. Hey, how about we charge a per use fee? Because now we have an opportunity with all the new AI crap to do that. their cost is not gone up significantly whatsoever.
No, it's getting to that point, and it's right now you're getting like 1,000 AI hits a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then right now they're just saying, well, and then we're just going to slow you down. So you're going to go, you're not going to be
like the phone
priority.
company. Oh, don't worry about it. We have unlimited data. Data speed slows down after 1 megabyte.
And then we slow you down if you've used too much. That's exactly what Adobe is going to with this. And there's still a lot of questions and not a lot of answers on how much of your data is being uploaded
Did you
to
read
Adobe.
The fine print to where they actually own every piece of art that AI generates for you in perpetuity?
Well, of course that they generate, and I wouldn't expect that to be any different.
It's their AI, so they they own it.
The question
how is this normal? How are people accepting the fact that a tool now owns your creative efforts?
Well, the tool doesn't, because AIs cannot own copyright, but the
company can.
True. But you cannot copyright anything created by AI. That seems to be the law of the land right now. That could change.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, there's no actual law that addresses that. And
it's an interpretation of one that's there, and I agree it's problematic.
Law, and I think that a better argument can be made to say that, given plenty of other similar examples, the person pressing the button owns the copyright.
Well,
that's
the real question
in photography, because with photography, what exactly am I generating when I press that shutter button?
Nothing. You are capturing the real world.
I'm seeing what existed already, and I'm reproducing it, but yet I get to hold the copyright on it. And this was a famous case that happened when somebody dropped a camera into a gorilla enclosure, and the gorillas picked up the camera and inadvertently ended up taking some photos.
Some good ones.
Which were later published. And then somebody else published them, and there was a lawsuit saying, hey, man, you stole my photo that the gorilla took. And the guy said, no, I stole the gorilla's photo that the gorilla took, and the gorilla can't hold the copyright. Therefore, any photos generated by gorillas are open for anybody to use. And that won.
Right, because you're like, it's my camera.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I know.
Camera is the tool. It's whoever pushes the button on the tool that owns the copyright. And I would argue, and I have with a number of people, that it is the exact same thing for this AI generation. It's the person that puts the words together and hits the enter key that then gets the tool to actually do something to spit out an image, which has before never actually existed.
Which, with the AI, I don't believe there is any way, and people in the know have said the same thing, even though for a while people were like, no, we can create software that can tell you.
You just got to count the number of fingers, that's all.
Well, that for some of the photos, yes, then you would know it's AI created, but there is no way to know what was AI. The ones that were claiming to be able to decipher if text was written by AI is laughable, because it's fucking text. There's no way to watermark that. They're trying to watermark the images, but that is also not going to be an easy thing to do in the long run, because
it's Pandora's box, dude. Yes. There's no going back.
There is not. And I thought it was interesting, just as a quick side note, there was a guy that decided to try the value for value, no agenda model. That was a photographer.
Okay.
Because there are some of these stock photo sites that allow you to do the value for value thing, which is, here's my photo. You can use it for free if you want to.
Oh, and somebody won a prize too, if I remember right, for something like that.
Possibly.
AI generated artwork ended up winning a prize in a journalism photography contest.
Yes, but this guy was just using the stock photo sites that allow you to put your work out there and say, hey, use it for free, but if you can, donate. Guy had 100,000 downloads. Do you know how much money he made?
I would say 1% of that.
0.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. 0.
Oh, boy.
100,000 people downloaded his picture.
So
nobody even threw him a buck.
That's pretty bad.
Because people are cheap motherfuckers. That's why.
Yeah, they are cheap motherfuckers. Yeah. What the hell?
It's like, okay, if you're going to use the guy's stuff, maybe. And I know I've been onboarded.
I can't believe people would ever play music recorded by musicians who didn't get compensated for that music Oh my God, those people exist? Shame.
A lot of them do.
Shame.
But you want to see my basement with the 4,000 CDs? You want to see my?
I don't want to be anywhere near around illegal
vinyl.
merchandise.
It's all here. I have spent. I will tell you without a doubt, I have spent more money supporting music and bands than 99.9% of the planet. I am confident in that number.
Okay. And I mean, what you're saying is great that you're supporting people, but that's sort of like having an art forger say, I've spent way more money buying original artwork than 99.9%
Well, the original stuff's a joke, man. You want
to buy it in order to copy it and then resell it.
You want to get the copies. Those are where you get the most bang for your buck. It looks exactly the same, which is why the AI voices now are great. You could just have
they're getting way better. Yeah. At this point, I think the job of a book reader is very quickly disappearing. I'm damn near ready to do an audio version of my last book. In fact, we should probably let people know. So I'm not going to be on next week. You should probably get somebody else to come in.
Hey, I'm taking next Wednesday off from Grumpy Old Ben's because it's the wife's birthday. So it's I'll take the week off. I'll relax.
No. You're taking too much time off.
I know. I like it.
You don't take the whole damn week off because people
I have Monday. Because people like Planet
Rage. Monday and you have Friday, and get Bemrose to sub for me on Friday.
Why would I want to? Then you want me to do Grumpy Old Ben's on Friday instead of Wednesday? What does
I want you to do Unrelenting on Friday with a guest host.
But I'm skipping Grumpy Old Ben. So
exactly.
Hey Ryan, I want you to skip the show that you.
Yes.
Do it.
That's correct.
Would you like to be Gene for a week? That's a question nobody ever said yes to.
Once every 7 years, that birthday falls on the day you do Grumpy Old Ben's. That's when you skip it. And then in 3 years, it'll fall on Friday. Or in 2 years, it'll fall on Friday. Then we'll skip our show.
Next year is a leap year.
Oh, then it may be next year then. Or I can't remember which direction it moves. Front or back. I don't remember off the top of my head.
You're leaving the country yet again. I mean, this is very interesting why you keep leaving the country.
I have business interests.
I have a business interest outside of country.
Yes. And for the record, I am definitely not going to Cyprus. I am going to Mexico.
That's what you say, but when your little RFID tag in your neck starts lighting up all over the Eastern Bloc, people will be noticing.
Mm-hmm.
There will be Gene sightings all over Moscow next week.
Yes, but it's not going to be me.
Just going to be another old guy with a long beard.
Yes, believe it or not, in the Eastern Orthodox religion,
there's a few
there
of those.
Are lots of old guys with long beards.
People are walking around like Gene.
Mm-hmm.
Gene.
Yeah, and then some of them are even named Gene, so it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, that happens.
It's a Greek name, so it makes sense.
But I mean, the Adobe software, I like that they're incorporating this stuff. I don't like the monitor you as you go concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really like to know, and I'm not worried as far as who owns the AI generated artwork, although that is going to be going down the rabbit hole. They're saying now on a lot of this AI stuff, well, yeah, you can use it commercially, but you don't own the copyright, which becomes weird and doesn't really matter beyond the fact that, okay, so if you let's just say you create a t-shirt that starts selling like mad with a design that you got from AI.
Mm-hmm.
That just means other people can use that design and you can't stop them. But the reality is, even if you created that t-shirt yourself, you really can't stop people from stealing your design anyway.
Oh, yes, you can.
You can, but it's very difficult. One, you got to find them.
Yes. And luckily, we have an AI bot to do that.
Let me ask you this, because there are legitimate businesses, allegedly, like Woot, who is an Amazon company, that constantly sells, and there are other companies that do this, but they constantly sell t-shirts for like a week that are just completely not licensed for all. Like I bought one that was Tigger from, Winnie the Pooh. As Doctor Who in a TARDIS. And it's like, there's so many problems with this.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But they do it and they sell it and nobody seems to bother them. And that's a big company.
And here's the thing is that the main thing that you go after when you have a trademark lawsuit, in my experience, is shutting down the other guy's ability to sell that product. That's the easiest thing to get, is to get a judgment to prevent them from continuing to sell the product. Much harder, but still possible, is to go back after lost revenue, and then that requires a slightly higher bar, but you'll end up having to show how much revenue you lost as a result of that sale. And I think for something like what you just described, which is the Winnie the Pooh and the TARDIS combination, it's going to be a harder argument than if it was just a blatant copy of a Winnie the Pooh t-shirt that somebody else actually owns.
Right.
Because this being an original work that incorporates trademark characters, you're going to have to say, well, how many people bought that t-shirt instead of the official Winnie the Pooh merchandise?
And most people would guess almost nobody.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's what the lawyer's going to tell, or the barrister in that case, probably going to let the client know, is that, look, we can spend the money to go after this, but just keep in mind, your recovery may be very limited. We can probably stop them from selling it, but if they only sell it for a week,
right,
and then they've stopped already, there's literally no point in going after them.
So that is the genius of that kind of trademark infringement.
Yeah.
You're in and you're out, and nobody really care. Well, they
and
care.
There are companies, by the way, that do this on Amazon with physical products, not just t-shirts, to where they will buy a container of something from China that is a clear knockoff. They will sell that container aggressively very quickly, and that item will never pop up again.
Makes sense.
For the same reason, because law takes time. Most legal cases take years.
So if it's a quick flip, you're probably fine.
Well, I would never say that. We don't provide legal advice here on the show.
But the fact that Amazon was selling those t-shirts through Woot, it's like, they're not licensed by both of those entities. I would, unless if they were, God bless them.
Policy is they will always cooperate with trademark and copyright holders. And you just have to go through their process and submit a claim for infringement. It takes about a week for them to process that.
So if you only sell them for a week,
there's nothing to process.
You are in good shape.
Yeah. It's somebody found the sweet spot, the extent to which you can get away with stuff and still be fully compliant with Amazon. If they ever tell you to stop selling something, great. Yeah, that we already did.
Yeah, we've got 1,000 new shirts coming in next week.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh's. Yeah, we just realized after we sold 1,000 of them that, apparently that was a copyrighted thing. So we stopped immediately as soon as we discovered that.
Then we made it Fozzie Bear, and it's all good.
Now we got a Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear flying in the Star Trek uniforms.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how that works. But with the Adobe, my question is still, if I take a portrait of Gene, and I want to change the background or change the clothing, or I want to put some sunglasses on you, how much of that original photo is being uploaded to Adobe? What do they retain? There's a lot of questions that they have not answered.
Everything.
I would assume. Because there were people that were having issues, and this was one of the more interesting ones, people that work in the...
I will tell you, I think that they have to retain everything for trafficking reasons.
For X amount of time, right, in case there's a legal reason.
Like 2 years.
Because there were people that were in the business of the erotic arts, shall we say, and they couldn't figure out why. They're like, okay, I upload a photo, I'm working on a photo that has a naked person in it. But what I'm trying to do with the photo, it's a photo that's taken outside, and I'm trying to do the new Adobe Magical thing where I can make it a larger photo with more of the background. So if it's in a forest, all I want Adobe to do is create fucking trees.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the subject that's in the photo.
Yeah.
But Adobe was throwing back errors on that. And it's the person, it's like, well, all you have to do is make another layer, block out the naked person, and then it works. And it's like, well, that shows you that they're doing that scan. But it's like, I understand where the Adobe AI doesn't want their AI to create nudity, but I don't understand. I don't want it to work on a photo that has it in it.
But it's been around for a long time. There are, and it was all pre-AI, but they were still filters. But Adobe and incidentally, other companies like Dropbox, like Google and Amazon will absolutely scan every single image that is in an image readable format that you upload to them, even though it might be in your private Dropbox, for that exact same reason, which is trafficking. They are checking for images that will trigger a potential underage minor image with nudity flag. And when that happens, without you finding anything out, that will automatically send out a notification to the FBI. Now, somebody will review that, presumably internally, and then decide whether this is potentially a child nudity, child porn image.
Right.
And if it is, then they'll pursue the case. And if it's clearly, misinterpreted, so it might be an adult nude image, then they'll disregard it. But all those companies have talked in their, if you go to the right meetings, which occasionally I do, you find out a lot more about the security and the internal compliance efforts of those companies. So, I used to work in compliance, so I know a little bit about this stuff. And they have done this for many, many years as both a form of CYA and as a joint partnership with the FBI, which a lot of companies do, and they don't really talk about it.
But the intriguing thing is when you're throwing errors here, you're showing that you're doing this.
Yeah,
that at least that you're searching for it.
It's just not public.
And the reality is, it's like, are they saying, and I was going to say Playboy, but I don't even think Playboy's around anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
I think the brand has been sold off, and it might still be in. I know it's not
China
in print form anymore. Yeah, China. There may still be some Playboy magazines in parts of the world, but when they had the first trans model centerfold, I knew they were going to lose a large portion of the audience in the good old USA. But for those kind of photos, again, nothing crazy, nothing hardcore. Wow, there's a naked person. Did they
spell Playboy with an I when they did the trans issue?
Maybe. That's what they should have done. See, they should have really leaned into it.
Yeah, just lean into it. I mean, there's plenty of people that like Thailand.
If you're going to do that, you may as well do it and be honest about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't understand why you'd be like, well, we don't want any erotic photographers using. And again, I get it. If it's trafficking, if it's children and you catch people, you put them in jail. It's kind of the same thing with guns. You don't want to get rid of all guns. You want to get rid of the people who are committing crimes with the guns. It's not the tool. It is the person committing the crime. And it just seemed the fact that they are not very clear with what kind of information they're collecting. I would just warn everybody, don't upload personal photos that you wouldn't want to upload to the internet, to the Adobe software, because it is uploading it to the internet in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know if a lot of people understand that, because there's a lot of people who started with Adobe, and as you just talked about with software, it used to be you bought it at the store, you put it, the disk into your machine, and it just existed on your computer, and it didn't talk to any mothership when you were doing editing. That's not the case anymore. Of course, that may not be the case with the podcast either, which may probably on a few lists for this show. Those transcripts going right to the three-letter agencies.
Apparently, the Playboy Mansion's entire lawn has been transformed into a parking lot.
In Chicago?
No, the
LA?
Playboy Mansion in LA, yeah.
Well, Chicago was one of the first ones, wasn't it?
It was the first one. Yeah. That was on the Gold Coast, right? Or the Gold, what do you call it?
Yeah, the Gold Coast.
Yeah, the Gold Coast, yeah. Yeah, I remember driving by there. I've never been inside. One of my childhood friends' husband worked at Playboy in there as a writer.
You're like, well, sure, people read the articles, buddy.
No, I mean, that's the irony. It's like you look at this guy, you're like, yep, no, he's definitely the writer. He's not going to do anything else. It's very, very, kind of nerdy Jewish looking guy.
Yeah. I mean, I had the nerdy thing going on. I mean, that's why the wife had no problem when I worked for multiple playmates at the same time. Didn't care.
Right. That's a hell of a trust factor the wife has, I guess.
I know. What can I say?
Kind of sad, actually.
I know. It's like, wait a minute.
Like, God damn it. Don't trust me. Don't you think I can get some?
I know. It's like, really? Was that what you're saying? It's like, no chance in hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that has been her exact words more than once. Like, oh, you think you can get that? Go ahead, try. I mean, the locks will be changed by the time you get home, but go ahead, try. Do whatever you want to do. That's the secret of the long marriage. There,
Darren.
The secret of a long marriage.
Yeah, go ahead, try it.
You think you can get it? Go ahead and try.
Oh boy, yeah.
Hey, the wife never had it so good. She's got a personal chef. How many other guys have a wife that has cooked like 5 times in the last 10 years? Tell me.
I'd say at this point, most.
Is this the world we're living in now?
No women know how to cook anymore.
This is why it's like, I can't believe these restaurants aren't doing better. The takeout joints, they should be doing boku business. Restaurants should be like multi-billion-dollar industries, no matter what.
They are.
Well, a lot of them are.
In Texas, at least.
Well, what did you tell me your lunch was the other day? Like $500?
No, it was $420.
Oh, well, 420. Was somebody smoking?
That's including the tip. So I rounded up to a funny number.
To a funny number?
Yeah, that was a lunch for 2 people, by the way.
You know, I've better been good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. There was, I had fish.
Well, it's fresh caught. You'd think they could give you a discount. I digress.
Yeah, there was not a whole lot of discounting going on, that's for sure. But pretty good quality food, pretty good wait staff. And I was taking out the founding partner out for lunch, so I had to be the one paying. So there you go.
The intriguing thing with places like Chicago who are getting rid of, we're getting rid of the minimum wage. They want to raise the minimum wage for waiters, waitresses, and everything in between. Don't want to forget somebody's gender. Mm-hmm. They want to raise that to the same minimum wage as everybody else, but still allow them to take tips. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
No, yeah, you're crazy. Why would you do that?
Because they're idiots. The guy in Chicago's an idiot.
It's if you're going to mandate a minimum wage, well, I don't see why everybody else shouldn't get tips in that point. I think you ought to tip your software developers then. Everybody.
Well, it is a tipping society, isn't it?
Less and less, I think. If you watched the one video that on this topic, I don't know, a month ago or something, and it was, not a great investigative journalism piece, but it did go through and ask people a bunch of on the street interviews with a variety of types of people, at least not all like college students like some of these guys do. But yeah, it seemed like of the people that were asked, the vast majority said that they have stopped tipping completely because the cost of food has gone up.
Wow. So it's not a really good time to be a wait person at this.
No, I don't think it is. And that's probably why there are a lot more clamoring for a minimum wage or to go up, because tips are now issued by a lot of people, which they're also trying to fight by making the minimum tips higher for the ones that do bother leaving a tip.
Well, the minimum tip is bullshit. Let's just start with that. But have you been to an establishment? I have not. Have you been to one that has gotten rid of the tipping and just says, well, we pay our people a fair wage, so we don't? I
have. It's been a while. It's been probably about a year since I went to one of those.
But was the service good?
Yeah.
Then I will applaud, because I would think once you take that portion out, that service could go down now, if the restaurant is on top of things and they watch and they make sure that the staff doesn't start going, well, I'm not getting a tip anyway, so whether I do good or whether...
No, and in fact, I'll tell you, many, many years ago in the 90s, back in my hippie days, if there was such a thing, I ate at a number of... oh boy, this is going to sound really corny, but like
a communal house?
Yeah, commune restaurants.
It's communist comes from that word, you understand, Gene.
Right? Exactly.
People are going to be like, down there, and I told you, Russian commune bastard.
It's worse. They were vegetarian.
Well, how did you eat there?
I told you this. I was a vegetarian for 3 years.
I see. I still don't believe that. I blocked that out.
It's hard to believe, right? I know. Totally. Because at this point, like, if I don't eat at least one steak every other day, something's wrong.
Every other hour.
Well, and you remember when I went for 72 days eating literally nothing but steak every single day?
Right. Yeah. You pulled the Penn Jillette thing. Like, let's try the carnivore diet or whatever they call it.
I liked it. It after 72 days, I was going to do it for 30 and I liked it so much. I kept doing it for another month. But at about the 70-day mark, I just started being bored with eating filet mignon every day.
Oh, how horrible. How horrible. Like, you want to know why people don't donate to the show? It's things like that you just said. I just got so tired of eating filet mignon every day. And washing it down with the Perrier. Yes. So very much lovely, yes.
I'm not a fan of Perrier, though.
No, I don't like any of those bottled waters.
No. I like distilled water. I prefer distilled. I was trying to explain to somebody that, I don't really get like colds, flus, or anything else generally. And I don't think my breathing pure carbon dioxide and drinking distilled water has anything to do with that whatsoever.
Well, it is an effect. Your body is, a combination of so many different inputs and outputs.
Yes.
And there's a reason why a lot of people, including my wife, never got as much as the sniffles throughout the whole COVID period.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I had a flu-like illness and tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And she didn't try to avoid
Here's
me
the
or
real
anything.
Question. Did any of the playmates that you were hanging out with get COVID?
Yeah, they all got it
COVID?
Immediately. No, that was years and years before, back in the heyday of the World Wide Web. And it would have been a lot more fun if I was around that when it was, hey, create videos and upload it. Videos were not a thing on the internet at that point.
No, too slow.
Even images at that point were not a easy thing to do, but it wasn't as easy at that point either, because it was really at the heyday, the beginning of all this. It was not easy to monetize.
Yeah.
It was, you have to go and get your own credit card processor.
You don't work right now because you're unemployable because you worked in the porn industry all those years ago?
Must be, yeah.
I thought that,
I was a web designer.
What was right, but you were a porn industry person, so clearly that mark stuck with you the entirety of your life.
Owning the domain way back when, pinupmodels.com, that was mine.
Yeah, there you go. So you were worse than working in the porn industry. You were like a porn producer.
I know, and I didn't make any money at it. That was the worst part.
Well, no, I think you would have been in good company because I think most of them didn't really make much money there. Now, there's a small group out in California that was certainly making plenty of money in the Valley, but I think most other porn producers weren't in it for the money.
And the interesting thing was, working, most of the girls were sweet as hell. The one that was kind of the ringleader that I got started with turned out to be the one like, well, I want to get way more money. I'm like, well, then I'm not going to make anything doing this. So no, thanks. And I still I've got to find it. I have a micro cassette somewhere from the answering machine where I got so pissed off and I just took her site down. She went fucking ballistic.
Oh,
ballistic. It would be some great audio to tack on to one of these podcasts.
That's exactly. It sounds like podcast material.
Back in the good old days. The interesting thing was at that point, and I don't know if anything has changed since then because Playboy is not the behemoth that it was.
Well, it doesn't really exist anymore. So, yeah.
Somebody has to own the likeness, and I don't know how litigious they may be, but back then, these girls who were Playboy Playmates of the Month, they weren't just like random models who appeared somewhere. They were a Playmate of the Month. Playboy would go after them / us. You could not use the word Playboy on your website. You could not use the word Playmate on your website. If you used any of the images from the magazine, they would go after these girls hard.
Yeah. Well, I remember when Playboy got their first website, it was actually a professionally produced site. It was well done. It was all very white. You remember that?
Yes.
And it was like, I thought it was a very good look. That it was better than the magazine.
Well, it was because they were trying to make use of what they had. You didn't want it to be overtly, and a lot of websites back then, remember the Geo cities, everything has to blink.
Yeah, everything is blinking and neon colored and in your face, and all the text looks pixelated, and all the images are different size and different resolution.
And they
That's
figured
kind of
out
shit you were building, right?
No, I was trying to be a little bit more elegant, and I probably still have the website somewhere because they were all pure HTML.
Yeah,
which was the beauty as well. And the way the girls were making money was like, well, there's if there was a subscription kind of thing, and it was mainly just there were packages that they would send out, so autograph photo, that kind of thing. It was all, here's a PO box. There was no, even at that point, PayPal. There was they had to get their own credit card processor and do it like a business would way back then. Things have gotten a little bit different. I was surprised.
OnlyFans is just so much simpler.
Well, I was surprised, and I've only gotten this on the Grumpy Old Bens, the show I do with Ryan Bemrose, on that Patreon.
Yeah, the show you used to do with me.
Yes, you were on Grumpy Old Bens. And then we had to delete all of that from the public lexicon and say that was just pre-Unrelenting. Yeah. But that is the only Patreon. And I've got the one for that and the one for Random Thoughts and another one. There's none of them except Grumpy Old Bens. I got an email the other day during the show on Wednesday, Grumpy Old Bens, that said, hey, you can now sell any kind of digital content that you want on Patreon, whether or not people are a member of anything, whether they're one of your Patreons, doesn't matter. Yes, you can sell an audio file, you can sell a video file, you can sell a PDF, you can sell a bunch of yes. I mean, I don't know if you can actually sell porn.
That would be a huge change because they've always presented themselves as being very family.
They allow for some things and not others. So I don't know if the content would matter, but you can definitely sell JPEGs. You can definitely sell a zip file with a bunch of JPEGs. You can sell anything that is a digital file, and they're taking 5% of it. It said plus fees. So I'm going to have to see what other fees.
Like 10% basically.
Perhaps, which still isn't bad.
Yeah.
But it's not on all of that's the only Patreon that's on. And I haven't touched that Patreon in like a year and a half. But I thought that was quite interesting if you want to do a special episode, if you want to do something to try to raise some money, you can do that and not be like, well, you have to subscribe. You can do an offshoot and say, well, here's an episode. Okay, we did this. Gene and I did something totally different. You could just go buy it for $2.99 if you want it. If you don't, who cares? It has nothing to do with this show.
Hey, want to buy our phone call recordings? We got those available right here. $2.99 a minute. Get them while they're hot.
Exactly. Remember, people used to pay. Well, they probably still do. Are 900 numbers still around where you call up and
probably
talk dirty?
Are, but I doubt anybody uses them.
Well, why would you? Because AIs can talk dirty to you now. They probably are when you call the 900 numbers now too.
Oh my God, you're right.
No, how do you know?
Totally right about that.
How do you know if you're calling it?
There's like a dude in India typing 5 different conversations.
Yes,
for like $3 an hour. And AI is talking like one-on-one sexy conversations.
They're like, no, baby, what are you wearing? Yeah. It's like the Seinfeld where Kramer's talking to Jerry's girlfriend. And
it's just like that.
Everything in this show turns out to be just like Seinfeld somehow.
Yeah. We're going to get sued.
No, Seinfeld would be like, I mean, come on. Jerry would be like, I love this show.
Yes.
As far as I know, Jerry Seinfeld listens and loves this show. It's his favorite podcast.
Hey, prove us wrong.
Exactly. Would we get the cease and desist from Jerry? Well, no.
Yeah. In fact, I think as long as it's phrased as a question.
Yes.
We should be. It's Jerry Seinfeld. Think this is the world's best podcast? Listen and find out.
How did you know we're talking about Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian?
Yeah. And we didn't specify which episode.
Could be Jerry Seinfeld, the dentist.
Could be a year in the future.
Yes.
Or the answer could be no.
It could be. We don't ask these hard-hitting questions.
We don't know what we're going to find out when we start not asking things.
No, we do not. But the
although I have
online,
to say, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jerry Seinfeld's favorite podcast.
be like, these guys are great.
What is this podcast about? I
keep trying to figure it
listening
out.
and I don't understand.
It reminds me of something. Maybe a show I was once on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now you're taking it a little too far. I mean, I don't know that anybody would ever think that this is scripted.
No, this is true. This is true. This is not a scripted show.
It's either we have the most talented writers and we're really good at reading scripts,
This is it.
or this shit ain't scripted.
It just keeps popping up on my screen what to say. I don't even know how it works.
And then the AI fixes your eyeballs.
Yeah. The AI does everything. It turns out
It's a good thing,
CSB
'cause
is
you need
behind
the
all of
eyeballs
this.
fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CSB is pulling the strings on every
right.
part of this show.
And it's costing him money.
Yes. Yes, Darren, do not tell Russian apologists. No.
Uh-huh.
That's how it works.
So speaking of Polish people, there seems to be a little friction happening between Poland and Ukraine all of a sudden.
You mean the whole, we're not giving them any more money thing?
Well, I think the phrase was, Ukraine is a sinking person that will pull us in with them if we let them hold on to our hand.
Well, the most interesting thing that I've heard on this whole situation had to be on No Agenda, the best damn podcast in the universe right after this one, was Poland's like, yeah, we want part of Ukraine now.
Yeah. Well, they've always wanted part of Ukraine.
It's like, well, I don't know.
And they have a legitimate claim. And I said this 2 years ago. I said this before the special military operation started. I said, why is everyone like afraid of this happening? Because ultimately what you have is a fake country that is made up of mostly southwestern Russia and a little bit of Poland.
Even O'Reilly, who hates Putin, is now mentioning on a much more regular basis how corrupt Ukraine is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, we have to stop Putin, but Ukraine is not a... No, it's like, I get
it. Shining beacon of democracy in Europe. What are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
It's worth for every person in Europe to die to preserve Ukraine.
I don't think it is.
That's what Biden said.
It's getting close. Well, he doesn't know. Did you see? He was really praising the National Black Caucus while he was speaking to the National Hispanic Caucus. He doesn't even know what's going on in front of him anymore.
No, I thought, yeah, well, that's because probably he was thinking he was Obama.
Well, that is possible.
That's his speechwriter, right?
That is possible. Somebody's they're feeding the words in, but they're not even registering with him anymore.
He's like the worst example of an AI.
Biden?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the stuttering AI. He's not even on a Pentium yet. He's like on an old like Celeron chip somewhere, with bad memory, stuttering around, constantly rebooting. I mean, you and I are around the same age. We probably both were at some point visited Disney World, say in the 80s, and you went to the Hall of Presidents where they had those animatronic figures moving and speaking very methodically, like, very, it's the movements weren't quite human yet. They were very herky-jerky. That's where Biden is today. He's like a Disney animatronic from the 80s.
He kind of is an animatronic character. No, that's a good point. Hey, speaking of, you just reminded me when you're talking about Patreon and things, we had a donation on Locals.
I heard about that, from you, because I don't check Locals.
Yeah, and so I thought, hey, we should probably thank the person that donated on Locals.
Yes, and then do we want to use?
No, we don't.
We don't want to use Locals at all.
I mean, look, thank you for your donation through Locals. Person who I'm trying to desperately look up, but can't seem to find my login credentials into Locals.
No, Gene, do not log into Locals. It's a trap.
How the hell do I log in here?
Don't you have something like RoboForm that automatically fills in everything for you? I
have too many Locals accounts is the problem, and I don't remember which one I was using for this.
How many Locals accounts do you have, Gene?
Oh, I don't know, like 15.
And I'm looking here.
And here's why. This one, I'm going to bitch about Locals for a little bit. Locals thought in their infinite wisdom that it'd be a good idea for you to create one account and then have all the different groups that you want to be a member of in Locals from that one account. Kind of like you're part of a bulletin board and you want to read different boards on there, right?
You want to be a part of one big cult with a bunch of subcults.
These groups that I may be a part of, I may be wanting to be there to monitor what the opposition is talking about. And I may not want them to be able to look at my profile and see that I'm a member of all
everything
these other
else.
Groups.
All these alt-right groups that you're supporting.
Yeah.
So you have to have your lefty locals. You have to have your
So you end up creating 15 different locals profiles just because you're trying to get some info out of
the
there.
Username was Who's Ed, WHOZ Ed.
There you go.
Came in with his $18. I had to like scroll through so much porn that you have sent on
dude.
On
don't
Signal.
Even get me started on that porn. This is all just coming from our little appearance on OnlyFans. It's like way too much.
But we appreciate that. Who's Ed? And we do.
Yeah, man. Whoever you are, Ed.
He's Who's Ed? Who's Ed?
Who's Ed?
Yeah.
Thanks for the donations. Even if I can't log in there, I will get the money. The way the thing is set up, it automatically feeds in. And then I will make sure that I send Darren his half at about the same pacing that he's been sending me.
Which is fine.
Which is about once a year.
Which is good. I mean, you don't want to have to do taxes, and the amount that we've been getting is so low. It's like, here, Gene, I've got pennies. That 37 cents that we made over the last 6 months.
Let me just buy a stamp with that first when I ship it to you. And then, oh, wait, what are stamps these days?
More than 37 cents. That's for sure.
Yeah. I remember when they were 22 cents forever. I think maybe 11 cents, I recall. Do you remember 11-cent stamps?
No, but I remember them a lot cheaper than they are now. I mean, my dad used to have a bunch of stamps that went down to even pennies. So,
I mean, they're like 3 cents back in those days.
Yeah, that existed. And there were just rolls of them everywhere. And then they went to these forever stamp.
Yeah, they went to the forever, which is hilarious. Which is like, we'll charge you a random amount of money, which will let you send the letter. And tomorrow we'll charge you a different amount of money. So you better get them today.
But if you save this stamp from today, 100 years from now, allegedly, you'll still be able to send a letter.
Exactly. And that letter may be digital because somebody somewhere is absolutely trying to figure out a way to monetize email right now.
Omega Project remembers penny postcards. Well, that'll be the next thing. Your email will be like,
I don't remember those. Dude, how old are you?
He's like 1,000. He's a time traveler.
He must be because I'm old and I don't remember those.
Penny postcards.
Definitely not. Postcards, I definitely remember 10-cent postcards, but I don't remember penny.
Omega Project will admit to being 70 plus. So see, I told you, at least 100.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good,
170 plus, apparently, yeah.
Now, we did have a few boostograms. Looks like they came through at the end of the last show, including CSB, who came in with 50-15 and said, Gene, how much do you weigh? Speaking of carbs, that's such a polite question. I love CSB.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, Gene, how much are you weighing today, buddy?
Oh, boy. How many stone would that be? I need to translate for the British Isles.
Yeah.
Let's just say a little more than I should.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there. I went to the cardiologist, and he's like, blood pressure, great.
Yeah.
He's your EKG, great. Lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was at exactly the same where I was 6 months ago. So there's that.
No, my guy is exactly the same thing. I'm like, so, blood sugar's good. All this stuff's good. You're fine. We got to still watch your cholesterol a little bit. Well, yeah, that's because I'm not taking the fucking meds for that because they're evil.
Yeah, where are them statins, baby?
Yeah, statins are showing to be carcinogenic now. So fuck that shit. And he's like, yeah, but you should have lost some weight by now. I'm like, yeah, I probably should have.
Right. Moving on to the next.
Well,
And then
luckily, I'm not a chick, and I don't have to worry about getting into my bikini body when I'm going out of town for vacation.
But everybody around you wishes you would,
and I'm good with that.
Gene just hops down on a beach. People try to push him back in the water. That's why you got the beard, because otherwise they'd be confused. They're like, oh, wait, Shamu doesn't usually have a beard.
If I'm swimming in the water, people often start worrying because they think that Neptune has just risen.
Yeah, they're like, ooh, King Neptune is here.
That's every Disney movie makes Neptune look like me.
That's true.
They do.
And as the appointment was ending, the cardiologist was like, well, you'll be seeing my associate in 6 months because I'm retiring. He's like, I'm 70. How long can you do this? I'm like, oh, I had no idea. The dude, he did not. I would have guessed he was upper 50s, maybe early 60s.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, damn. So I like that guy. He was fun to spar back and forth with, and he would give you an honest, answer, which
exactly.
As much as I didn't want some of the stuff to be right, he always ended up being right. So that
really,
yeah,
I'm kind of dreading my doctor retiring. I have to say because this guy that I've got right now is the best doctor I've ever had in terms of what I want from a doctor, which is somebody that'll listen to my diagnosis and prescription and then say, sounds good to me.
Yeah, Gene, you're right on. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're right on. I'm just going to confirm what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. And, because he knows I do my homework and he's happy to provide his input, but he said, no, if you want to do that, that's fine. So, and that's a sign of a good doctor because he understands that the patient ultimately needs to make their own medical choices. What the doctor should do is advise. And if the patient has no clue and wants the doctor to do everything, that's what the doctor should do. And when the patient actually is a little more knowledgeable and does their own research and comes in with stacks of information that they pulled off of medical websites, then you should probably let the patient do that.
Well, it's way too easy to prescribe something and then never revisit it.
Yeah.
Somebody started you on a statin. Of course you have to stay on a statin. It's like, well, no.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I'm going to stop taking it and then do another blood test. And if my blood tests are still showing I need to do something with the cholesterol, then we'll talk. But if I can get the blood test and it shows I don't, well, then I'm not taking it anymore.
Well, yeah. And there was a video that I don't think I sent to you. I probably should have. I sent it to another buddy of mine that ended up immediately taking his dad off statins after watching the video I sent. And seeing within a week an improvement in the diabetes and just memory functions of his dad.
Oh, yeah. The brain fog and statins, from what I've read, is real.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally real. Exactly. Because the problem is your body is what's manufacturing the cholesterol. A lot of people think, well, it's the cholesterol you're eating. It is absolutely not. You could be eating zero cholesterol and then present with high cholesterol when you get your blood work done. And that's because your body is actually manufacturing cholesterol because it is a very vital ingredient in a lot of the chemicals that your body produces, like hormones. So you can't produce testosterone without first producing cholesterol.
So you start mucking with one thing.
Ingredient of the other. Yeah. So yeah, you don't want to be mucking with stuff. And then somebody pointed out, and I think this was more of a tongue-in-cheek joke than reality, but they're saying, have you ever noticed that the same companies that make statins also make Viagra and Cialis?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason for that because they're creating the market from one brand for the other brand.
Well, and that's it. There's a lot of these things that affect something else. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's a precursor. Statins are not statins. Cholesterol is a precursor ingredient to a lot of the other chemicals that your body uses for self-regulation. So not a good thing to be monkeying around with. Now, should your cholesterol be in the normal area? Probably, because if that's what it is, historically, that's probably a good place for it to be. And does cholesterol end up getting calcified and as a result end up constricting your blood veins? Yes, absolutely. But as I've pointed out before, again, we don't give medical advice in the show. But
yeah, I was going to say the hosts of Unrelenting are not doctors and do not give medical advice. Anything you hear on Unrelenting is all for educational and entertaining purposes.
Entertaining, I would say. Let's leave it at that. But if you actually read what's happening there, it is not the cholesterol; it is the calcium that is the problem. And for people to start having cholesterol pockets that are, it's not like soft, gooey cholesterol.
Right.
It's a calcification of cholesterol that is between your blood vessel wall and the outside lining. So it's literally inside the vessel wall that it's happening. And it's pushing out both into the blood vessel and into the area just connected to the blood vessel on the outside. But obviously, there's more room inside the blood vessel, so it gets pushed out there. But the problem is with the calcification, so you can't just kind of, push on it like a chiropractor might, and then make it get pushed into a much smaller area or something, right?
Your case in point, Omega Project said he was a vegan for 7 years and his cholesterol was off the charts.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good genes right there.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, right. Good genes.
Good genes right there. Blitz also says, hey, spoiler, the brain is primarily comprised of cholesterol.
Exactly. And that's the part that they're ultimately trying to get rid of. That's exactly right.
We want you docile.
And I think the cholesterol, high cholesterol, being a vegan makes total sense because your body's like, I need testosterone, goddammit.
I want some meat. Give me the meat.
That's the only way I'm going to get this guy to eat something is if I boost his testosterone level.
Get me some meat. I need some meat. I want some meat. Got to have the meat. So we hope we answered CSB's question during the last. It looks like right after the last show, C-Dubs came in with 10,101 Satoshis.
Oh, nice.
And just said testy, test.
And did it go through?
Well, it did for me. I don't know if it did for you.
No. Let me look. What day would that have been if I check?
That was on the 8th of September. On the 15th of September, Comic Strip Blogger did come in because he was like the one for the last show that was like, why better than where you do show? And he says, Privyet, comrades. Please invite your oligarchs.
I got like 5,000 at some point.
See? Come on, I'm trying to get into character here, man.
Whoa, who sent 27,000?
I don't know yet. I'm going up into the chain here.
Huh. Somebody sent me 27, so you probably got half of that.
But I have to read in my CSB voice. This is not easy to do CSB voice.
Yeah, I would think you're kind of. And then here's a whole chain of 14 sats. That must be a 14 cents per minute.
Somebody listening per minute. That's beautiful as well.
Ass skate.
But that's every minute.
Exactly. So like literally an hour is going to be about 3 cents.
Privyet, comrades. Please invite your oligarchs to visit www.csb.lol for my cartoons about vodka. No, it'd be Watka and bears.
Vodka.
Watka and bears.
Yeah, see, and he's got good cartoons. And I've said that even when I banned him for a year.
You were still reading his cartoons?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
And then it's anonymous.
He didn't ban me, did he?
The anonymous podcaster with the really long beard. I mean, that didn't really look like anyone in particular.
Right. Exactly.
And then this came in during the Rock and Roll pre-show, and I was very confused because it was 1,033 sats from Aqualith, who said, I got called out this episode for the low boost amount for the previous show. But do keep in mind, not all of us accumulate as quick on Fountain as others, it seems. I see people regularly dropping boosts more than my entire wallet. Anyhow, I added you on Star Citizen, Gene, hoping I can try the newest patch soon. Thanks, guys. And,
yeah. By all means, please do. I have not logged into Star Citizen over a month, but
because he's been doing that other game. He's living in a different world.
Other game, but yeah, I mean, at some point I'll still be back and stuff. And if I'm on there, or if you just want to try some ship that's not available in the game, just let me know.
Hey, go to Crazy Jeans gift shop for new ships.
Well, you could also buy ships for real money. I sell those as well, but I have I have every ship in the game, and I have a bunch of ships for the game that I'm selling on a website.
Crazy Jeans Spaceships.com is where you want to go.
Emporium.
Right. Crazy Jeans Spaceship Emporium. If you got to get put into it, I'll put you into it. And I mean, I hope people understand when we're like, hey, you cheap old bastards. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, it's totally good fun. Because frankly, you're all cheap bastards. And that's why I don't solicit for donations because
everybody except Dale in the great land of Australia. You're all cheap bastards except Dale.
Yes, Dale is definitely not a cheap bastard. That bastard's given us pushing $1,000 now.
Yeah, he is a magnificent bastard. If I could use the line from your whiskey
cheap
guys.
Bastards and the magnificent bastard. Yeah, you feel free, man.
If you want to be an oligarch and a magnificent bastard, just donate big numbers to Unrelenting. Unrelenting.show.
Yeah.
We are podcasting 2.0 compliant. That's what we're reading right now. Boostergrams. Where are you today, trolls? Boost!
Exactly. Well, I think we probably lost half the audience by not being on last week, is my guess.
Everybody's like, no, we're done.
Oh, I guess they stopped. Okay, delete.
Finally, I figured these guys, but it was about time.
Thing. Yeah. I don't need that RSS feed sitting here when it's not active.
That is the problem with being on a regular schedule. There's a lot of the shows I've listened to over the years. It's like, well, they come out every week or two, and it's not always on the same day.
Well, that's annoying as fuck, isn't it? That's how I do the other show.
It isn't, but it's being the same time, same day thing. I mean, I get it from a scheduling point, but when you're on that, then people really get like, oh no, you missed one. It's like, that's the other thing.
We got to talk about Russell Brand.
Yeah, and even with my solo show, though, it's like, you don't have to do 52 shows a year. You can take 1 or 2 or 4 off.
Yeah. And frankly, guys, Darren doesn't care if you listen, as long as you subscribe.
Right, as long as you donate, that's way more important.
Downloads. Well, you're getting plenty of donations from your Stolen Music show.
The Rock and Roll Pre-Show, it's even way down on that. The Biden economy is not chugging along as it once was. I mean, there have been some great days, but there's also been, I think the other show on Sunday, it was probably a grand total of like $20. Which,
hey, by the way, if anybody's thinking of doing a solar roof,
roof,
or putting solar panels on their roof, getting basically free electricity, but
when it's sunny.
Yes.
When it's winter and snowing in Chicago, and the sun only comes up at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yeah. But this is way ahead of putting the cart in front of the horse kind of thing. But I just talked to a guy that I'm going to end up probably working with. That
Crazy Gene Solar Panel Company?
Yeah, exactly. Crazy Gene Solar Panel Company. But he's able to do solar panels in most of the country, at least the parts of the country that have sunlight. So not Chicago. I don't think he's set up to do them up there. But
my wife says there's a lot of people putting them in our town because she's the one that has to do the permit.
Oh, really? Interesting.
But it's crazy because we don't in the summer, sure, but in the winter.
How is she telling you this? Is she telling you this right now, or did you hear this previously?
No, we've had this conversation before.
Okay, you guys have got it. So, contact me if you're thinking about that, and I can get you a super good deal.
Crazy Gene Solar Panel Express. Just get on board now.
Crazy Gene Solar Panel and Spaceship Express.
If you buy
of solar panels and spaceships.
Right. Which one are you throwing in free? If you buy the spaceship, do you get a free solar panel? If you buy the solar panels, do you get a free spaceship?
They're both expensive, but here's the cool thing about the solar panels. Now, this is the last bit of teasing I'm going to do because you literally have to just figure out a way to contact me. I'm not even going to tell you how, but if you figure it out, then I can get you more info for it. But they're now no longer making you buy them. They are renting them to you just like an Adobe subscription.
Oh, see, that's interesting because
your payment for solar panels might be as low as $29 a month.
What is the lifespan on solar panels today? How many years?
What do you care? You're leasing them. You're renting them, so you don't care what the lifespan is.
When they're dead on your roof and no longer providing electricity,
well, then you stop renting them.
Well, you just stop your payments. in perpetuity.
Well, you're not paying in perpetuity. You're paying for as long as you have them.
Now,
So it's an interesting approach, because before you'd have to go and take out a home equity loan, buy the damn things, get them, pay for installation and everything.
Right.
Somebody did the math and figured out how to actually do it without having you own those panels on your roof.
Well, you can screw the government out of their subsidies either way. There's that part. Because the governments are like, oh, wow, these are great idea, boss. Yeah, we'll put solar panels in.
Yeah, and the key thing is, like anything else, if you don't own it, you can always walk away from it.
Blitz wants to know what happens when your roof starts leaking. Well, that's a different story.
Well, that leaking and solar panels are different things.
Well, depending how they're installing the solar panels.
What do you mean?
Are they just using Velcro?
If they, so if somebody damages your roof during installation, obviously that's a warranty issue. But if you're talking about, like, you got solar panels on your roof and then a tree falls on your house and both kills the solar panels and the roof, that's not a warranty issue.
Are you insured, buddy? Is that what they want to know? And a lot of it is the battery array that you would need to store that energy, which...
Say it comes with it. So that's the cool thing, is like you're just paying a monthly rental fee basically for a whole system, including batteries in your garage.
And what are they telling people? How much money you will save in an area, let's say like Austin, where you have good sunshine throughout most of the year?
In an area like Austin, you can run the entire house on solar panels and pay zero to the electricity.
And how much are the solar panels? Well, you're saying you're just renting
I'm not going to talk about any of this shit, because it's all pre-price,
pre-everything.
So I'm just hinting at the fact that I'm going to have more info to mention about this, because this is the first time I've seen this approach where it doesn't require like a $40,000 home equity loan, which is what it's always required in the past. People are trying to get you to see savings over the course of 20 years of solar panels, so you'll eventually get your money back and then some.
Right. The eventually part is what bothers people.
The eventually is the problem. This just turns it into a standard, lease thing.
This is totally not why Gene is leaving the country to look for a place to go to once this thing goes poorly. Gene's like, I got a place. Yep.
Where I have bank accounts and in what countries does not matter.
That is completely irrelevant. Is your go bag ready?
Which one?
How do you get if you have to go, what do you do with
you mean my duffel bag stuff with cash?
Yeah, the go bag. Yeah. But if you have to make the getaway, do you leave the snake behind, or is that you have a way to move your buddy around with you? You got like a snake guy that's like, I'll get, okay.
You got a snake guy? Well, my Apple guy ordered my phone for me, and
if Gene disappears, the snake guy knows what to do.
Yes. No, there are definitely people that know what to do, but I shouldn't be disappearing for any extended period of time.
At least for another year or two.
Yeah, I mean, the snake right now has been getting ready to shed, so he's basically been sleeping for about a week.
Well, that's kind of what you do.
It kind of. But I really hope he sheds before I actually leave, because I don't like... Right after he sheds, he's going to want to drink and eat, and in massive quantities. And so I'd like to be able to do that before I head out. Otherwise, he's going to be shedding, and he'll have a little bit of water, but not like as much as he wants. And he'll have no food until I come back.
Wait, you don't have a snake sitter?
I don't know. That's the whole point of it. I've said this. The reason I have a snake, and I have a few actually, but the reason is because they don't require anybody to house sit them. They are an animal that you can have and then go on vacation for a month and not worry about it.
They're fine.
They're totally fine.
They're taking over the house.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it is kind of their house.
But what's there to say about Russell Brand, except he's getting railroaded?
Yeah, like we mentioned the whole thing about just rape becoming a way to terrorize people.
Well, the fact that they've pulled his funding, not his whatever you want to call it, on YouTube, demonetized him.
Yeah, they've demonetized him. They took off all his projects. They canceled all his projects on Netflix and HBO. his manager left him after like 20 years. I mean, like anybody that you can think of is basically participating in trying to kill this man off. And it's pretty obvious that what they're doing is trying to get him to shut up about his politics.
That is why people are questioning the timing. Even a British woman presenter on GBN News or GB News, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? Why now?
Yeah.
When these things, it's like the Danny Masterson thing. Why is it coming to light after 10, 15, 20 years?
20 years, yeah.
The question has to be asked if you want the real...
And there's... Not only has it not been convicted of anything, he's not been charged with anything. And this has already cost him millions in lost revenue. Millions. The accusation.
Yes.
This is a witch trial or witch hunt thing. This is no different than Scarlet Letter Days. This is basically the accusation of a woman being an adulteress and being shunned by the community and made to have a letter A on her chest is no different than the accusation of rape for a man. It's the same tactic used for literally the same purpose, which has nothing to do with justice and has everything to do with using all tools available to assassinate somebody's character.
Yes, and to stop their voice, to get rid of their... whatever they're saying.
Shut them down. Shut them down.
The fact that they immediately went to YouTube, they went to Rumble as well, which I don't think Rumble really...
Yeah, Rumble's not going to do shit. They went to YouTube, Rumble, they went to all the media, and one of the women that's really pushing for this is a British royalty. She's like a lady something blah-de-blah, and she's in Parliament. And it's like, the dude hasn't even been charged. Was it not the British that invented innocent until proven guilty? Didn't we get that from them?
I don't know. I don't know what their current system is.
Yeah, apparently it's guilty until guilty.
Guilty once you are
a man
accused by anonymous sources.
Yeah.
And that was the thing the British woman presenter said, too. It's like, why are all of these people anonymous?
Well, they're not all anonymous. We have 3 names.
But they're all pseudonyms, right? Nobody knows who these women are. I think they are all anonymous.
I think they've now figured out who they were. Or maybe Russell Brand said who they are now. Because there's no reason he shouldn't.
No,
but they're literally are on a campaign, on a crusade to kill this married dude with small children, to
just like Danny Masterson,
to kill off his future so that they will shut him up.
Was Danny Masterson the test?
I don't know if he was a test, but I think the fact that we've seen 2 relatively recently probably means there's more coming. There'll be another wave of like 20 years ago, your girlfriend, decided, or 20 years after somebody was your girlfriend, she decides that this is the most expedient way to shut you up because she doesn't agree with your viewpoint today, is to say, well, you raped me.
Nobody can prove you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't prove negative. Yeah, so and that's the thing. We have done to the word rape now. By we, I mean the Western society has done to the word rape the same thing that we have done to the word Nazi. It's meaningless now. It means nothing.
You yell it out and everybody cowers.
Yeah, not anymore. It's like, yeah, but I mean, like, what kind of rape? It's just ridiculous.
Well, show me another story that multiple news organizations, have collaborated on. That was a very weird thing. There's like 3 major news organizations in Britain collaborating on this. So the collaboration thing also kind of stuck out to me, but they've been doing this now, this investigation for 2 Years. That's a lot of freaking time to be put towards who a guy was boning.
Or it could just simply mean it was a back burner story that nobody really wanted to spend much time on, so it got bounced around the newsrooms and multiple publications until somebody decided, well, I guess there's enough here for us to make it a story.
Well, and there is no story because, as you said, there have been zero charges filed.
And like one of the girls was 16 at the time that they had their relationship.
Allegedly.
Well, no.
Has this been proven?
Yeah. No, they were in relationship. A lot of people knew about it. But here's what American idiots don't realize is the age of consent in the UK is 16.
Oh, no.
That's like being 18 in the US. And they're trying to make it up like he was a child predator and he was grooming her when she was 16. She was a legitimate adult, at least in terms of sexual relations. Her parents couldn't stop her from having relations with somebody after she's 16. And it was totally consensual. And he absolutely verified that she was indeed 16 or older because he didn't want to be screwing with a kid. Oh, and by the way, he just turned 30 at the time. So, yes, he was probably a little too old to be fucking a 16-year-old, but then again, he wasn't that old.
Now, it's funny because I just pulled this up. Cosmopolitan, who I saw one of the things back in the day. Oh, Russell Brand gives the best sex advice. Now is, do we need to look at changing the age of consent laws in the UK? When does Cosmopolitan start doing this kind of story?
That's literally this chick's argument. The 16-year-old, the one that was 16 that's accusing him of rapist, said that in retrospect, she feels like the age of consent is too low and it should be raised. How is that his
children
problem?
Know what they're doing. They can change their gender.
His problem?
It's not. So this is another case of, and we've talked about this a lot.
You're not old enough to have sex at 16 with somebody that's of the opposite sex, but you're old enough to mutilate your own sex and never be able to have sex with anybody in the future when you're 11.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And it's like, this is a case again, even if it is creepy, the man acted within the law, but what you're getting is, oh no. And people are going to call him a pedophile, which I think is hilarious when the girl's 16 years old.
Yeah.
Which also is totally fuck the word pedophile for people who are totally destroying children's lives.
Child predators. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, you don't understand what the fucking words even mean.
No.
And you're letting off the worst of the worst because it's like, well, no, that's the same thing as what Russell Brand did. Well, if that's what a pedophile is, well, then that's fine. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, if the guys there who are hearing this had never fucked a 16-year-old at some point in their lives,
probably when you were about 17,
or 15,
or 18,
for some of us,
Gene's like when you were 95.
Yeah, exactly. No, hey man, when I was 19, my girlfriend was 27.
Well, this is where Gene learned everything. It's a Mrs. Robinson.
It is the total Mrs. Robinson situation. Yeah. No, I was digging it, dude. Who wouldn't want to be with a 27-year-old when you're a teenager?
Well, this is why when you see these stories,
I feel like maybe I'm repressing some memories of rape or something. That I got raped when I was a teenager.
Well, these
by
stories,
a 27-year-old,
and it's oddly the women are usually fairly attractive, where it's like 16-year-old abused by 27-year-old teacher, and it's like, abused? How?
I think we do have a term for those that is kind of shunned these days. It's called Lolita. That is a very sexually active and interested young female.
But I'm also saying this as a 16-year-old male who has a 27-year-old female teacher that they have sex with, and it's like, well, he's going to be scarred for life. It's like,
I mean, he's going to get a lot of high fives.
Yeah.
Sure, he'll be scarred all right from getting all the high fives.
It's like, this is not the way things are made out to be.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And that's the thing is, there's again, real rape is basically a violent act that happens to be of a sexual nature, but the violent part is the key here.
Yeah, and I only saw...
what you have in this situation is, once again, a bunch of women that had consensual relationships having consensual sex with an already well-known public figure and a star, who's shot movies, done MTV shit, and had his own comedy shows with huge audiences. They are clearly going after famous people and then hooking up with them.
Yeah, the bits of the audio.
They're claiming rape.
Yeah, the bits of the audio that I heard, one of the women who had already slept with them, he called me late one night and said he had a bad day. And I said, no, I don't want to come over. And he convinced me to come over and said, we'll just cuddle. But then we had sex, so he raped me. Yeah, the other one was even better, which was somebody who did not have the relationship with him at this point, that was working at the BBC. And she's like, well, I went to go take his lunch order, I would guess. And I went to his dressing room, and then he turned around. He must have known that it was me, because he turned around and his penis was out.
Yeah, he was wearing a robe, and the robe wasn't tied off. It was just loose around his body.
But now here was the greatest thing about that story. Then he turned around and his penis was out, and I was horrified. Immediately following that in the story was, well, we started a consensual relationship a little bit after that. And it's like, whoa. Whoa, you can't have it both ways. You can't.
I was horrified that he had his penis out, and the first thing I did is say,
"You want to date?"
Yeah. Would you like somebody to help you with that?
That does not sound like you're horrified.
My mouth is right here.
Yeah, that's like, fuck you. You do not get to, and then you're telling the story in that way. And so it's like you're not even smart enough to know that makes you look like such a fucking disingenuous liar.
Yeah. Totally.
But this is what the news organizations are running with to ruin this guy's life. And it's like, again, if he did something that is horrible and the evidence comes out, I'm fine with making him answer for it. But that does not seem to be the case as of yet. And the innocent until proven guilty thing does not seem to be a thing anymore.
This is an abuse of the law. This is using laws that were created when rape meant a different thing. For the vast majority of the period of the history of the English language, rape meant something very specific, and it's been redefined. And this is the biggest, I guess, problem that I see with the advance of socialists, is they are very good at redefining the meanings of words to leverage the intended meaning of those words against people with the new meaning of the words. Like, this is literally a strategy they have to first change the meaning, and then second, to use that new meaning to go after somebody
retroactively for something that happened 15 years ago.
And that's the other thing. It's like, I think if you don't go to the police within a month, and I know people are thinking, that's maybe too short. Fine. I think it should be a month, but if you want to make it a year, maybe even 5 years, let's call it a 5-year maximum period for actually filing charges for this shit. Then you can't go back 20 years later and ruin somebody's life by saying that what happened was rape, because it was objectively not rape. You may have had sex that you didn't enjoy. You may have.
Well, I mean, that happens to everybody that has sex with me.
Not just you.
No, I'm fine. I mean, I'm perfect. That's really all that matters.
But it's not fucking rape.
And the human mind, the memory, is not ironclad. This is not having a video.
Dude, memories that are like a month old are not ironclad.
Right. Well, that's my point.
Change all the time.
For most people, besides the rare few that have the eidetic memory.
Yeah.
If I were to say, everybody listening to this show, give me a minute-by-minute breakdown of what happened to you yesterday, most people are going to mess up a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you ask people, what did we say 1 hour ago in this podcast? And you had 10 different answers.
Yeah. So you can't go back and go, well, I remember. And that was, I think, in the Danny Masterson case. There was one of the lawyers, people didn't like it, that the woman was like, well, I remember every minute of that day like it was yesterday. And they're like, well, do you watch The Bachelor, Ed, or whatever? Yeah. Well, who was voted off that night?
Exactly.
Well, I can't tell you that. Well, you just said you remember every minute of that day like
Clearly
it was
not.
That
this is why I've been a strong advocate for many, many years that you never have sex that's not recorded.
You got Gene, what are these cameras for?
Partial record.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have a bedroom without a camera in it because you're literally putting your own future safety in line. Somebody who wants to go and accuse rape, great, let's watch that video.
I believe we spoke about
rape
this
there or not.
Maybe what was just the last show with Danny Masterson. Maybe it was before the Patrick Kane, who was a big superstar here in Chicago with the Blackhawks, had a similar issue for something that happened at his house. And luckily for him, there was security footage, which disproved 100% what the woman said.
Yep. Hey, hashtag women lie.
They do for various reasons. Money is one of them. Fame is another. Sometimes it's both.
There is no consequence to a woman lying. Men have consequences when men lie. They're culturally, historically and culturally, men have been brought up to be, I'm a man of my word. Your character is judged by whether you tell the truth and whether you stick to the things you say or not. For women, that doesn't exist. The women have this concept of little white lie is often better. And it makes sense for them. I'm not like saying, oh, women are bad for this. It makes sense because somebody has to lie to the kids. And it's going to be the mom. It's not going to be the dad. The mom's going to be telling them about the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and everybody else. And women are going to be more concerned with making somebody else feel good. And if lying is what is required to make somebody feel good, then that's what they're going to do. There's not a social pressure on women to not lie. So, of course, women lie, and they lie a lot more than men. But regardless of whether it's more or less than men, this assumption somehow that women just can't be lying about accusations of somebody 20 years ago is literally retarded.
Well, especially if it's somebody that they had a bad breakup with. And this is the other thing when it comes to rape accusations. And I know I'm a guy, so I maybe can never put myself in that situation. But the ones that are like, well, he raped me, but then we went out for another 2 years. It's like, what?
Yeah, we went out for 2 years. We got engaged. We looked at some property together, and then eventually we split up.
We split up, and then 20 years later, I want to talk about how he raped me before that last 2 years of our relationship, which was great. It's like you don't get to have it both ways. Now, if you're in a relationship and then you never see the guy again, it's the same thing as, oh, I showed up at his dressing room and his penis was out, but then we started a relationship. You don't get to tell that story like you're horrified by it if you then decided to enter into a relationship with him.
Oh, and by the way, the 16-year-old that he was with, they broke up because one day she showed up to his house and found that he was in bed with another woman.
Wow, that's so surprising with the man whore, Russell Brand. And he admitted to being a man whore.
Yes.
It's like that.
Absolutely.
That's the whole thing. And he was, as he said, he was transparent about it.
Yeah.
And he at least has the money to fight this, but his career is over no matter what.
These are literally groupies. They're like groupies that want to have sex with a famous person.
Yeah.
And then once they have sex, they magically want that person to be quote unquote normal.
Yeah, they want them to have a long-term relationship.
Are you fucking insane?
Hey, I just would warn and I can't believe this hasn't hit yet because the stories from these bands are legendary. I mean, if you're a member of that era, Bon Jovi, Poison, Guns N' Roses, Rat, they were banging a lot of 16-year-olds.
Dude, nonstop.
So this concept that this was something outside of the ordinary.
Gene Simmons not been canceled and sued into oblivion?
Well, he is a surprising one because he's a fairly conservative guy.
Over 1,000 women.
Yeah. Well, and he's also conservative by the left standards anyway.
Yeah, I would not put him in the conservative bucket.
But by the left standards, he is.
Yeah.
Because he believes in capitalism and believes in...
He's always been the money guy.
It is all my fault. I get it.
He's a Hungarian Jew.
Yeah. He knows.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's going on. CSB with another 1515 or 5015 says just testing Korwa. Visit csb.lol. He probably wants to see if you're bouncing back or something again.
Let me just see if I got anything. How much was it?
5015 5015 came in from the one and only csb.lol.
5015. I think that did come in actually. I got 2500 came in at 11:31.
Yeah, that's it. I got it at 11:32, so you are even quicker than me. Woo.
Okay, so apparently that gateway is working now. Nice.
Gene Simmons is allegedly against booze and drugs, but he loved the COVID-19 shot, says Blitz.
Yeah, exactly. I would not call him a conservative, but certainly capitalist.
Some things people are going to always disagree on.
Oh, it looks like two of my channels are offline right now.
Uh-oh.
Whoops.
That'll happen.
Bit refill routing is offline and Liberty Bull is offline.
Well, you probably got 5, 10, 20 million Satoshi sitting there waiting to be spent.
Not that much. No.
Not millions and millions.
Well, I have millions, but I don't have that many millions.
I got to turn mine into something.
Yeah, you keep saying that. You've got millions. What are you talking about?
I know. And I've got to convince, I got to put them into something. I mean, it's the wife's birthday next week. I should probably get her a birthday gift.
With Satoshis?
No, you could.
Hey,
because
I'll trade you I'll order pizza for your wife if you send me some sats.
Oh, okay. I'll send you 5 sats.
Yeah, well, more than that.
Well, I can see I turned the sats into Amazon gift cards.
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
Because that seems to be the best way to go. And I saved 5% on her Lego bag because I use my Amazon card.
Oh, I don't have one of those.
And Amazon gives you 5% off when you buy at Amazon. And
I have the Adidas credit card.
Well, I believe that.
It actually is really good. I get 11% off.
That's pretty good for the Russian oligarch discount. But the Lego never does.
It has nothing to do with Russian. It just happened to have an Adidas credit card. That's all.
The Lego never does discounts. But then I'm like, well, Amazon gives you 5% off everything you buy at Amazon with their card. And then I went and just on a lark the one day looked it up because I saw some other gift card. And Amazon will sell you any denomination gift card to the Lego store that you want. And they will give you the 5% back. I tested this out.
Oh, that's good.
So if you want to buy anything at the Lego store, but you're an Amazon Prime member, buy the digital gift cards. They come to your account within minutes. You can just go spend them. It's perfect.
So I've got
5%. That's worthy of some Satoshis right there, people.
Yeah. I've got 640,000 sats offline right now. What's that mean?
That's a lot to be offline.
Is it?
The total.
Should I be worried?
Yeah, you should be. The total donated amount to Unrelenting has been 576,000 sats since we started this.
Okay. That's hard. Well, I'm sure I missed most of that because
it's even better.
Yeah, because there's no way that I got that much from this show for sats. I'd say about half my sats were from Adam.
Well, yeah, because he was like, "Oh, I like Gene."
But no, because he would listen to the podcast and then he would send.
And then he stopped
80,000 sats.
Yeah, I know he sent some to this show.
Did he? Yeah.
Grumpy Old Benz has made just over 2 million sats in its heyday here.
Mm-hmm.
Planet Rage overall, little over 2 million sats, so they're right in the same ballpark.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm.
The rock and roll pre-show, I probably don't want to tell you. Over 6.5 million.
Of course.
Yeah, baby. That's the Satoshi one right there. People love the sats.
Well, I mean, at that point, you might as well convert it to real money.
And what this is over, since when did these sats, we've been going on years, though. So, I mean, you kind of put that into real money, and it's still like $400, $500 a year. Is that around there? Somewhere around there. So it's not exactly like you can go out and buy even a new car. You can go buy one of Gene's favorite lunches once every year. You can buy.
That is not my favorite lunch, dude. My favorite lunch is way cheaper than that.
Hot dog, Chicago style pizza. Yeah, I know you haven't been doing pizza lately, but what is your?
I've been trying to stay away from carbs. No, it's Fogo de Chao, or really any churrascaria.
Those are a lot of words that a lot of people didn't understand.
You think? Churrascaria is Brazilian barbecue.
We did talk about that the last show. A lot of meat.
Yeah, it's basically meat. It's the idea to somebody that hasn't gone to a churrascaria, and Fogo de Chao is probably the most a common chain in the US that does those. There's also a Terras de Brazil.
Yeah, we talked about those on the last show.
Yeah.
And Blitz says the new Satoshis are pretty much beans and bullets, so that's
yeah, that's true.
That's the new real money.
I'm doing much better on those than Darren is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And soon you'll be able to go to Crazy Gene Solar Panel Hut. And
that's right.
It'll be great.
Crazy Gene Solar Panel Hut and Spaceship Emporium.
Right. They'll be like the half and half. You'll walk in.
So I gotta mention this because I sent you some screenshots from the game that I was just laughing my ass off. So as part of this, one of the quests in this game, in Starfield,
not Star Citizen, the new one,
not Star Citizen, right? Starfield is a quest to go and help a bunch of employees to basically tell them what to do to get a new spaceship built by evaluating their project goals and budgets and coming up with a project plan for them. I thought this was hilarious because that is so fucking close to what I do in real life. And like doing that in the video game was exceptionally funny because they did a really good job writing the characters. So like the main chick that's leading it turns out just got her MBA and like she has very little experience. And it's the kind of thing that I see in the real world as well. So it's
the reality was there.
It's fun to recognize things from the real world in a fantasy video game world be presented accurately.
Hey, sometimes things will be represented accurately right here on the Unrelenting Show.
Yeah, but not that often.
No. At least you're down to just a few hours a week now in the new game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be down to 0 because I'm not bringing a gaming laptop with me on the trip.
Wow, you're going to have to get a little bit. That'll be a quick detox for you.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a very quick cut off, and the whole goal of the trip is to do a substantial part of my next book in there.
And don't forget, Gene will not be around next week on Friday, so there probably won't be an Unrelenting as much as he wants.
There should be with an
Unrelenting Bemrose.
Damn it.
I think I'm just going to take the week off and enjoy myself.
Jesus Christ.
I've got other things that I can do that can make more money.
A lot of weeks off for somebody that's
I know. I'm taking things off for things that aren't making money.
Yeah, but it's not like you're doing something else that makes money instead.
No, I make way more doing other things.
Do you now?
Yes. But that will have to wait for another episode. Tune in
Check
again.
Out the OnlyFans that Darren is running for way more things.
Yeah, well, it would all be the AI female OnlyFans. Be like, hey, this is almost like real women. It's better though.
It's better.
Because AI won't lie about you.
Yes, it will. I mean, that is the one thing about AI. Sorry, I screwed up your cut, but AI will absolutely lie because we've programmed it into the algorithms.
So, no AI girlfriend either. Sorry,
basically,
guys.
All AI is a woman.
Okay, CSB, just create an AI female that nags all the time and call it the AI wife instead of the AI girlfriend.
Exactly. That'd be fairly accurate.